Here's a truth you've probably never been told. Social anxiety isn't proof that you're broken. It's proof that you're human. That flutter in your stomach before speaking up, that racing heart before walking into a room, those aren't malfunctions. They are millions of years of evolutionary design working exactly as intended. Think about it. Your ancestors didn't survive because they were the strongest or the fastest. They survived because they were accepted by the tribe. Rejection back then wasn't embarrassing, it was deadly. No tribe meant no food, no protection, no survival. So your brain developed a system, a social alarm bell, to remind you. This moment matters. That twinge of anxiety isn't weakness, it's your social survival instinct protecting you. And here's the secret. Every single person you admire feels it too. The charismatic speaker, the confident leader, the effortless conversationalist. They don't lack anxiety, they've simply learned to work with it. Once you understand that social anxiety is normal, universal, and even beneficial, it loses its power over you. It shifts from your enemy to your ally. The next time you feel it, remember this. That feeling means you're alive. It means you care. And it means you're not alone. Not even close. Section 1. The social muscle and micro skills. Social skills work exactly like physical muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they become. This isn't just a nice metaphor, it's how your brain actually works. Every time you engage in a conversation, you're creating new neural pathways, and with repetition, those pathways get stronger and smoother. Think of it like going to the gym. The first time you try new exercise, it feels awkward and uncomfortable. Your form is shaky, your body resists, but over time it becomes natural. Social interactions are no different. Starting small is the key. 5-minute conversations, a simple hello, practicing one small skill at a time. These micro skills are the building blocks of confidence. Making eye contact is one rep. Asking a follow-up question is another. Sharing a small story about yourself is another. Each one builds your social strength. And just like physical exercise, proper form and recovery matter. Trying to become the life of the party overnight is like attempting to deadlift 300 pounds on your first day at the gym. It doesn't work. It just burns you out. Instead, treat every interaction as practice. Show up consistently. Celebrate the small wins. Remember, even the most socially confident people you know started exactly where you are. The only difference is that they kept showing up. They kept training their social muscles one rep at a time. And unlike physical muscles, social skills never hit a ceiling. You can keep growing for your entire life. Every conversation is another chance to get stronger. Section 2. The 70-30 rule in active listening. The most powerful social skill isn't talking, it's listening. More specifically, it's listening for 70% of the conversation and speaking for only 30. This ratio isn't random. It comes from research into what the best conversationalists actually do. When you give someone the space to talk about themselves, their brain lights up with the same reward chemicals triggered by food, money, or even falling in love. By listening, you are literally giving their brain a gift. But real listening isn't just staying quiet until it's your turn. It's keeping your full attention on what the other person is saying. Not rehearsing your response in your head. Not waiting for a pause so you can jump in. It's absorbing their words, their tone, and their meaning. When you listen this way, people feel understood at a level they rarely experience. That sense of being seen makes them naturally want to know more about you. The magic happens in the details. Notice how someone's voice lifts when they talk about a passion. Watch their energy shift when they bring up certain memories. Pay attention to the words they linger on. These subtle cues tell you what matters most to them. And when you reflect those cues back with genuine interest, the connection deepens almost instantly. Every time you choose to listen more and speak less, you're building trust faster than 90% of people ever will. That is the quiet power of the 70-30 rule. Section 3. Curiosity as a superpower. The secret to becoming magnetic in conversation isn't having the best stories or the sharpest jokes. It's curiosity. Not the surface-level kind where you ask questions just to keep the dialogue moving, but genuine curiosity, the kind that makes you eager to discover who someone really is. Think of each person as a book with 1,000 pages. Most people only skim the cover, but when you approach with curiosity, you start flipping through chapters. You uncover stories, experiences, and insights that most people never take the time to find. Everyone you meet knows something you don't. That alone makes them fascinating if you're willing to look closely. The key is in the questions you ask. Instead of, "How was your day?" try, "What was the most interesting part of your day?" Instead of, "What do you do?" try, "What made you choose that path?" Watch how their eyes change when they realize you actually want to hear the real answer. Your curiosity creates a cycle. The more interested you are, the more interesting things you uncover, which in turn makes you even more naturally curious. When you're genuinely curious, something else happens too. Social anxiety fades because your attention shifts outward, away from your own self conscious thoughts and into discovery mode. You stop obsessing about how you're coming across and start getting lost in learning about the other person. Every person you meet is a walking library of experiences, lessons, and perspectives. Curiosity is the key that unlocks it all, and the more you use it, the more doors it opens. Section 4. The Three People Theory. Every person you meet isn't just one person, they're three. First, there's who they think they are. Second, there's who others think they are. And third, there's who they actually are. Think about yourself for a moment. You have an image of who you are built from your own experiences, strengths, and flaws. But other people see a different version of you, filtered through their own perspectives. And somewhere in between those two lies the truest version of you. This is happening with everyone you meet. That person who comes across as cold may simply see themselves as cautious. The one who seems arrogant might actually be hiding insecurity. When you realize you're only ever seeing one version of someone at a time, you stop taking things personally. You start asking, which version am I seeing right now? This awareness not only makes you more patient with others, it changes how you see yourself. Those moments when you feel judged or misunderstood are usually just gaps between these three versions. Your job isn't to make everyone see you the same way, it's to be comfortable with all three existing at once. Remember, every single person you meet is navigating their own three selves, just like you are. And when you understand that, connection becomes easier because you're not demanding perfection. You're simply meeting people where they are. Section 5. The Question Funnel and Memory Methods. Most conversations feel awkward not because people don't want to talk, but because they don't know how to move past small talk. That's where the question funnel comes in. Think of it like a wide to narrow path that naturally guides the conversation deeper. You start broad, move to opinions, then finally into feelings and experiences. For example, you might begin with, "What kind of work do you do?" That's a simple fact. From there, you ask, "What made you choose that field?" That's an opinion. Then you follow up with, "What's the most challenging or rewarding part of it for you?" Now you're exploring feelings and experiences. Each question builds on the last, making the flow natural instead of forced. Pair this with memory techniques, and your connections grow even stronger. One of the most effective is the memory palace. Imagine storing pieces of what they share in different rooms of an imaginary house. Their job goes in the living room, their passion project in the kitchen, their big challenge in the garage. When you see them again, you mentally walk through that house and retrieve those details. This is what allows you to ask, "How did that hiking trip go?" Or, "Did you ever finish that book you were excited about?" People are genuinely surprised when you remember, because most people don't, and that makes them feel valued. Remember, questions are keys. The right question unlocks depth, and remembering the details proves you cared enough to hold on to what they gave you. Together, these skills transform forgettable conversations into lasting connections. Section 6. The Echo Effect and Body Language. One of the most powerful tools in connection isn't what you say, it's how your body responds. Humans are wired to mirror one another. When two people connect, their breathing syncs, their gestures align, and their rhythm falls into harmony. It happens unconsciously, but you can make it conscious and intentional through what's called the echo effect. The idea is simple. Subtly match the other person's energy, tone, and body language so their brain registers you as safe and familiar. If they're speaking softly, ease your voice down. If they're excited and animated, let your energy rise to meet theirs. If they lean in, you lean slightly closer. These adjustments are small, almost invisible, but they make the interaction feel natural. The key is subtlety. This isn't about mimicking or copying, which comes across as fake. It's about gently tuning yourself to their frequency. A slight head tilt when they tilt theirs. A shift in posture when they shift. Matching their pace of speech just enough to create flow. When you do this, their nervous system relaxes. They feel understood without knowing why. They're not thinking, this person is echoing me. They're just feeling, this person gets me. Your body already wants to synchronize with others. The echo effect simply removes the barriers and allows it to happen more fluidly. It's not manipulation, it's connection. It's a way of speaking the unspoken language of rapport. Section 7. Social momentum and consistency. Social momentum works just like physics. Once something is in motion, it's easier to keep it going. The same is true for your social life. When you take long breaks from interacting with people, starting up again feels awkward and heavy, like trying to push a stalled car. But once you're moving, even small interactions keep the engine warm and make the next one easier. Think of social skills as a car engine. If it sits idle for weeks, the first start feels rough. But if you keep it running regularly, it stays smooth and reliable. Your brain works the same way. A short conversation every day creates far more progress than one intense social event once a month. Consistency beats intensity. That means your practice doesn't have to be huge. A quick hello to your neighbor, a short chat with the barista, a 2-minute check-in with a coworker. Each interaction is a push on the boulder. The first push might be the hardest, but with repetition, the weight feels lighter and the motion becomes natural. Look for places that naturally build momentum. Coffee shops, gyms, workplaces, or any environment where small, low-pressure interactions happen often. Each of these moments adds up like compound interest. The daily deposits you make into your social muscle eventually create massive long-term growth. Social consistency isn't about being on all the time. It's about making regular practice so normal that connection becomes effortless. Small reps, repeated daily, are what transforms socializing from something you dread into something that feels natural. Section 8. Conversational threading and open loops. Every sentence someone says is packed with potential. Inside it are multiple threads you can pull on to keep the conversation flowing. This is the art of conversational threading. Imagine someone says, I just got back from a business trip to Japan. That single line contains at least 4 threads: their business, their travel experience, Japan itself, and the fact that they just got back. Each one can lead you down a new and interesting path. You don't have to force the next question. The threads are already there, waiting to be followed. The second layer is the open loop. An open loop is an unfinished idea or story you intentionally leave hanging, just like a TV cliffhanger. You might mention, that reminds me of something wild that happened to me last month. But instead of finishing, you shift the focus back to them. Their brain will want closure, so the conversation naturally circles back later. The magic happens when you combine threads with open loops. You weave in multiple directions, opening doors, leaving some half open, and circling back to close them. It creates a natural rhythm where the conversation never stalls because there's always another thread to pull, another loop to return to. When you start noticing these threads, you realize every interaction has endless possibilities. You don't need perfect lines or rehearsed stories. You just need to listen closely, spot the threads, and weave them into a flow that feels effortless. Section 9. Context, banking, and permission structures. One of the easiest ways to build lasting connections is by remembering the small details people share with you. This is called context banking. During conversations, people naturally reveal clues about their lives, an upcoming trip, a project they're working on, a challenge they're facing. Most people let these details vanish. But if you bank them, you create powerful opportunities to reconnect later. For example, someone mentions they're preparing for a big presentation next week. That detail becomes a permission structure, a natural reason to follow up later by asking, how did the presentation go? If they say they're planning to try a new restaurant, you can check in afterward with, what did you think of that place? These small callbacks show that you listened and cared enough to remember. The timing matters too. Following up too quickly can feel forced, but waiting too long makes it seem like you forgot. The sweet spot is giving just enough space for the event to happen, then circling back with genuine interest. The easiest way to strengthen this habit is to jot down short notes after meaningful conversations. It doesn't have to be complicated. A few reminders are all it takes to create moments of connection that feel effortless. People rarely forget how you made them feel. Remembering details makes them feel important, valued, and seen. And when you practice context banking consistently, single conversations stop being isolated events. They become the starting points of relationships that grow naturally over time. Section 10. Vulnerability and trust. Confidence might earn respect, but vulnerability is what creates trust. When someone shares even a small piece of their true self, it opens the door for connection in a way polished performances never can. This isn't about oversharing your deepest secrets. It's about showing you're human. The science backs this up. When someone shares something slightly vulnerable, the brain releases oxytocin, the same chemical that bonds parents and children. It's the biological signal of trust. But the key is progression. Think of vulnerability like climbing a staircase. You don't leap to the top. You take it one step at a time. Start with small admissions. I was nervous about this too, or I'm still figuring this out. These tiny disclosures signal safety. The other person feels permission to share something of their own. Before long, you're both exchanging more honest parts of yourselves without forcing it. This is how psychological safety is built, not in dramatic moments, but in small exchanges where both people let their guard down just enough. When you practice this, people don't just see you as confident, they feel they can actually trust you. Remember, vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength in its most approachable form. The more willing you are to share small imperfections, the more space you create for others to be real with you. And that is the foundation of every lasting relationship. Section 11. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is your social navigation system. It's not just about recognizing emotions, it's about using them as data to guide the way you connect with people. The truth is, your brain is already scanning for emotional cues all the time. Changes in tone, shifts in body language, tiny micro expressions. Most people ignore these signals, but if you learn to notice them, you gain a kind of radar for human connection. For example, someone's words might say, "I'm fine," but their voice dips lower than usual. That dip is data. Or maybe they light up when a certain topic comes up, speaking faster and with more energy. That's data too. These signals reveal far more than the words themselves. Emotions are contagious. When someone is excited, you feel a spark of that excitement. When they're calm, you find yourself relaxing. Tuning into this flow doesn't mean you have to fix their emotions, it just means you respond skillfully. If you sense stress, you can create calm. If you sense enthusiasm, you can lean into it and amplify it. Every conversation has two layers, the words being spoken and the emotions beneath them. Most people only hear the words. Emotional intelligence is about tuning into the layer underneath. When you do, people feel understood on a deeper level, even if you never call it out directly. And that ability to read the room and respond to what's really happening makes you stand out socially more than anything you could say. Section 12. Social context navigation. Every social situation has its own gravity. A coffee shop feels different from a library. A work meeting carries different rules than after-work drinks. A family gathering flows differently than a networking event. These contexts aren't random, they're predictable patterns that quietly shape how everyone behaves. Your brain already makes these adjustments unconsciously. You don't speak to your boss the same way you speak to your best friend. You act differently at a wedding than you do at a casual lunch. The skill is learning to make these shifts conscious and intentional instead of leaving them to chance. Watch what happens when you start paying attention. The loud, energetic friend at parties becomes quiet in a museum. The serious professor cracks jokes at a game night. The shy colleague suddenly leads confidently in their area of expertise. Context changes behavior. The real power comes from transitions. When you can move smoothly between contexts, bringing just enough energy to fit the new environment, you stop feeling out of place. This isn't being fake, it's being socially fluid. It's like knowing the rules of different games and adjusting your playstyle so you can actually enjoy them. When you master context, you stop fighting the room. You ride with it. And that shift makes every interaction easier because you're no longer swimming against invisible currents, you're surfing them. Section 13. Deepening connection. Deep connection doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds gradually like warming water. You don't leap from strangers to lifelong friends in a single step. You move through stages that feel natural and safe. Think of it as raising the temperature 1 degree at a time. The mistake many people make is trying to force intimacy too quickly. They overshare or push for depth before trust has been built, and it feels uncomfortable. Real connection follows a different rhythm. It grows through shared experiences, not just shared words. Walking together instead of sitting across from each other. Solving a small problem side by side. Creating something together rather than just talking about it. These moments bond people faster than endless small talk ever could. Another key is progressive disclosure. Each person shares a little more as trust builds and the other matches it. A small personal detail, then a slightly deeper story. Back and forth like a dance where each step feels natural. Over time, this layering creates a bond that feels unshakable because it wasn't rushed, it was earned. Connection isn't about dramatic gestures. It's about these steady steps of trust and understanding. And when you learn to move at the right pace, you'll find that relationships form not with force, but with ease. Section 14. Group dynamics. Groups might look chaotic, but they actually follow patterns. Every group has 3 forces shaping it: energy flow, power structure, and connection points. Understanding these forces makes group interactions feel far less intimidating. Watch any group closely and you'll see roles emerging. There's often an energy starter, the one who breaks silences and gets things moving. There's the mediator, smoothing tension and balancing conversations. There's the connector, bridging people and keeping everyone included. And there's the stabilizer, the one who grounds the group when things get scattered. These roles aren't fixed, they shift depending on the situation. But being aware of them helps you see the hidden dynamics at play. The real skill is learning how to balance the group's energy. If the vibe is too serious, adding lightness can reset it. If it's too chaotic, introducing focus can ground it. If it's too quiet, sparking curiosity can open it up. You're not controlling the group, you're nudging it toward balance. Think of every group as a living system. Energy flows through it, sometimes rising, sometimes dipping. People step into roles, then step out again. When you learn to read these patterns, you stop feeling lost in the noise. Instead, you become the person who knows how to keep the flow alive. Section 15. Social network building. Your social network isn't just a list of contacts, it's a living system. The strength of that system doesn't come from how many people you know, but from how those people connect through you. Think of it like a garden. Some connections need daily attention, others only occasional care. Some grow naturally without much effort, while others require patience and nurturing. The health of the garden isn't about how many seeds you plant, but how well you tend to the ones that matter. The most powerful way to build a strong network is by creating value for others. It's not about collecting business cards or followers. It's about noticing when 2 people should meet, sharing an opportunity that could help someone, or remembering to check in at the right moment. Every time you make a connection that benefits others, you become a catalyst. People remember who brought them together. Over time, your network strengthens itself. When you're the one consistently helping, introducing, and following up, people begin to see you as the center of value in their community. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it by giving first. A real network isn't about what you can extract from people, it's about what you can create between people. And when you start thinking of it this way, your connections stop being fragile links. They become strong bridges. Section 16. Digital social skills. In today's world, a huge part of your social life happens online. The rules are different, but the principle stays the same. Connection comes from authenticity. Digital spaces remove tone and body language, which means your words and presence carry even more weight. That's not a weakness, it's an opportunity to be intentional. Every message, comment, or post is a chance to create value. A thoughtful response in a group chat, a genuine comment on someone's update, or a personal note checking in can make a bigger impact than you think. Online interactions scale in a way in-person ones can't. A single kind comment can reach hundreds. A useful post can reach thousands. The key is translating real-world social skills into digital form. Active listening becomes thoughtful replies that show you absorbed what they said. Eye contact becomes quick responses that let them know you're present. Warmth becomes consistency, showing up regularly, not disappearing for months at a time. Digital spaces aren't fake. They're real extensions of connection. The people on the other side of the screen are just as human as the ones sitting across from you. And when you treat online interactions with the same care as in-person ones, you build trust, reliability, and presence in both worlds. Your online presence doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be real. And in a world where most people are half distracted, that alone makes you stand out. Section 17. Boundary Mastery. Strong boundaries don't weaken your connections, they strengthen them. At first, it might sound backward, but the clearer your boundaries are, the safer and more authentic your relationships become. Real connection needs both closeness and space. Think of boundaries like a cell membrane. They're flexible, not rigid. They let the good things in and keep harmful things out. They protect you while still allowing connection. Without them, every social interaction feels like a negotiation for your energy. With them, you can relax, because the limits are already clear. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out. It's about showing them how to get closer in the right way. Once you know your limits, others know how to respect them. You become more relaxed in conversations, more present with friends, and more confident in groups because you're not guarding yourself constantly. Your boundaries are doing that work for you. The balance is what matters. Being open while also protected. Saying yes to what matters by saying no to what doesn't. This isn't selfish, it's smart energy management. It's how you protect your attention, your time, and your social fuel so you can show up fully where it counts. When you set strong boundaries, you don't just preserve yourself. You invite others into a deeper, more sustainable kind of relationship. One built on respect, not pressure. Section 18. Social leadership. Social leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room or the person everyone looks at. It's about creating spaces where people feel safe, included, and connected. Think of it as being a social architect. You're not forcing interaction, you're designing the conditions where connection naturally happens. Real social leaders don't need to be the center of attention. Instead, they shine the spotlight on others. They notice who's being left out and invite them in. They spot the person who has something to say but doesn't feel comfortable speaking, and they make space for their voice. They bridge separate conversations, smooth over awkward silences, and create the kind of atmosphere where people feel at ease. Watch someone who has this skill, and you'll see how subtle it really is. A well-timed question. A quick introduction between two people who should meet. A gentle redirection that lifts the energy when things feel flat. None of it looks like control, but all of it shapes the room. Social leadership isn't about attention, it's about intention. It's about caring enough to notice what's missing in the group and filling that gap so others can connect more deeply. When you take on this role, you stop worrying about how you're being perceived. You're too busy creating value for everyone around you. And people don't forget the person who made them feel included. Section 19. Advanced Psychology. The more you understand how people work, the easier it becomes to connect with them. This isn't about manipulation, it's about awareness. Human behavior is guided by deep patterns. And once you recognize them, social interactions feel less like guesswork and more like navigation. At the core, people are driven by three needs: the need to feel safe, the need to feel capable, and the need to feel connected. When these needs are met, conversations flow naturally. When they're threatened, tension shows up. The colleague who seems distant may just need more safety. The person who comes across as aggressive may be trying to prove capability. The friend who seems clingy might simply be craving connection. When you can see the need underneath the behavior, your response changes from frustration to understanding. This is also where attachment patterns come in. Everyone has a way of seeking closeness that was shaped early in life. Some people pull closer, others pull back. Some balance between the two. Recognizing these patterns isn't about labeling people, but about adjusting with empathy. All of this comes down to pattern recognition. The more you notice emotional signals, motivation cues, and group dynamics, the more fluid you become socially. Psychology gives you a map. And with that map, you can stop stumbling through interactions and start moving with purpose. The truth is, every social expert you admire started exactly where you are now: awkward, unsure, nervous. The only difference is that they practiced, paid attention, and kept showing up. Social confidence isn't magic, it's built. And the sooner you start building, the sooner you'll see that becoming social is easier than you think. If this helped shift how you see social connection, make sure to subscribe for more insights like this. And if you found something valuable here, leave a like. It tells me to keep making more videos that help you grow.